welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Mardesha, aka School Psychologist, aka the Body Snatcher and the guru of all things post-operative care. On my YouTube channel, I will be talking to you guys about anything from travel, post-op care, and today school psychology, all things hair, and anything else you guys want to hear about. So before we get started, you guys go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about school psychology. I wanted to raise a little bit of awareness about who we are, what we do, and what we do not do, because I know people tend to think that we are guidance counselors, and we are not guidance counselors. We are school psychologists. A little bit of awareness about this career because it's a great career path to have. We need more school psychologists. We need more African-American school psychologists. We need our boys and girls to see people who look like me representing them. And then parents need to see more African-American school psychologists or people who look like them advocating for them, advocating for their students' success, and, you know, just bringing more awareness about our profession as a whole. And not only African-American school psychologists, but that is what I am, so that's who I can speak to. But we do need more diverse school psychologists who can really speak and relate to our student population, especially when it comes to the LGBTQ community, and supporting those students who really need that help when they're transitioning through middle school, high school, elementary, and those types of things. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Like it, love it, need it, bad, take it, own it, steal it. So who are we and what do we do? So as a school psychologist, we can do a lot of different things. So we provide behavior and academic interventions in the school setting. So what does that look like? So there may be a student with behavior concerns such as talking out of turn or not raising their hand in the classroom or tapping their pencil, whatever the case may be. And a teacher may bring that concern to a student study meeting and ask for interventions to help with that behavior because it's maybe impeding the student's learning. So what I would do as a school psychologist is say, hey, do we have any ABC data or antecedent behavior and consequence data to determine what is the function of that behavior and how we can create an intervention plan to basically remove that behavior. So yeah, that's what that would look like. And the same thing with academics. A student may be not able to answer who, what, where, when, and why questions, identify setting, main idea, character point of view, or even inference when it comes to reading. So I would identify that as deficits in reading comprehension, and I would help the teacher or the whole entire team come up with intervention plans to help the student bridge or close those gaps when it comes to reading comprehension or whatever their area of need is. A lot of what we do is evaluate for special education services. So what does that look like? A student may have been receiving interventions for about 8 weeks. They're showing no progress. According to state data or state testing, they may be performing at a 3rd grade level as a 6th grade student. So what I would do is I would take that student and I would evaluate them. So I would administer a cognitive assessment, look at how they're thinking and processing different information. So what does that look like? I would look at what does their short-term working memory look like? What is their fluid reasoning skills? And then I would just look at their academic skills, so reading, writing, and math, and then come up with some data, analyze the data, and determine what eligibility does this student qualify for, or do they qualify for special education services. So this is where I say we need more people that look like us in this community or in this industry or in this profession. So what it has come to is that African-American students are being over-identified as students with learning disabilities, especially when we look at our African-American young boys. They're being over-identified as students with emotional behavior disorders. And so we need more people like us, advocating for those students, saying, hey, this student does not have a emotional behavior disorder. maybe we can go into the classroom and look at what the teacher's classroom management skills are like. Is this teacher aware that this student has experienced some type of trauma? Can we make sure that this classroom is a classroom that is trauma informed? Can we make sure that the teacher has the tools to teach students who have experienced trauma? How can we create a classroom environment that is not triggering for these students? So really getting into those classroom, providing those consultations, behavior management skills, and different things that we can do in the school setting to really support our teachers. But because we are stretched so thin, a lot of the services that we can provide, we aren't able to provide. So some other services that we can provide are crisis prevention. So looking at the school as a whole and looking at how we can prevent crisis from happening. So one of the things we looked at this school year was, how is COVID-19 impacting our students? What is it looking like for them? What type of services can we provide to reduce the amount of crisis that could occur after COVID is over? So what we did here in my school district is we provided group counseling services to students looking at social emotional learning skills. And we provided students with resources to deal with stress or depression and different things like that. And then some other things that we can do is help struggling diverse learners. So that can be diverse, meaning their cultural background, their race, religion. We have some students who are English language learners, so we provide support in many different ways. We can also provide positive behavior strategies for parents and for schools as a whole. So we provide school-wide interventions and just so many services that we can provide as school psychologists, but most people know us as being evaluators or testers. And they often think that we are gatekeepers to special education services, but we are so much more than that. I want to tell you guys a little bit about how I got into this career field. So no, I did not always know I wanted to be a school psychologist. Actually, when I went to Florida State for my undergraduate degree, I was a family and child sciences major. This was a very new major to Florida State, and it was also a major that was very rigorous. So they had a policy where if you get 2 C's, you're out. Like no ifs, no ands, no buts about it. So at that time, I will say that I was probably more focused on things outside of school than what was going on inside of school. So needless to say, I thought I wanted to be a child life specialist at that time, and I got kicked out of the major and I was getting ready to go into my junior year. So I was like, okay, so what am I gonna do? Like, I promised myself I was not gonna be a 5th year, 6th year senior. Like, I'm gonna be four years in and out. Like, that's it for me. So I started looking around, seeing what else they had to offer in psychology popped up. And so I had enough credits where I could transfer over to school psychology, and I really didn't lose any of my credits. Everything that I obtained in my family and child science major was enough for me to have a minor in child development. So I used all those credits, made it a minor in child development, switched over to psychology. So then I started meeting with my advisor, and I'm like, okay, so what can I do with this psychology degree? You know, I'm not trying to get no doctorate. Like, I'm smart naturally. So if I didn't have to study too much, I didn't, which I will say I'm not going to encourage that for y'all. Like, so yeah, I didn't want to get a doctorate degree. I knew that I was here for a good time, not a long time. Like, I wanted a degree, I wanted to make money, I wanted a good job, and I was not trying to go to school for 8-9 years. I didn't want to be in all that debt. That just wasn't for me. So she gave me a list of degrees or a list of careers that you could possibly do with a school psychology degree. I started doing my own research, but then she said, hey, a speed dating activity is coming up at Florida State next week. We're gonna have a whole bunch of people with psychology degrees that work in different fields, different areas, who will talk to you guys about what it is that they do. You'll have 10 minutes to sit with each one, and then you'll rotate. So at that time, I attended the event, and I met some pretty cool people. Some were in industrialized psychology, or IO, which is a profession that makes a lot of money, but it is a profession that is very rigorous, and it just wasn't going to be for me. I could tell after I did my research. And then I met a guidance counselor, which you guys are more familiar with. And then I met a school psychologist. And that just really, really stuck out to me because I didn't know anything about school psychology. Excuse me. So I didn't know anything about school psychology. So I was very interested. So I went home. I did my research. I Googled how much money they make. I Googled what they do. I Googled the job outlook because I'm one of those people, I like to be practical. I had seen so many people who graduated with degrees and got out of college and did not have a job in their career field. And I knew that I did not want to be that person. So when I Googled those careers that I was interested in, I also Googled job outlooks because why go to school for 4, 5, 6 years and you get out of school and you cannot find a job? And I saw that there was a critical shortage in this career field. And my goals, or what things that were most important to me at that time, were having a job that has stability, having a job that has a great outlook, having a job that makes decent pay to where I could support myself and a family if I chose to have one, and then having a job that has flexibility. So I love to travel. So having a job that's not so strict to where I have to be on call or I don't have a lot of PTO was not going to be a job that was going to make me happy or a job that I was going to feel that was fulfilling, and I love to help people. So this job is everything that I wanted plus more. So when I look at this job, one of the things that I really like is I have winter break, I have summer, I have here in Georgia, I have mid-fall break or whatever it is that happens in October that they don't have in Florida, so that's nice. And all of these breaks I'm being paid for. So during my off time I travel, I spend time with my family and I do the things that I enjoy doing and I still get paid for it. What job do you know that gives you time off that's not PTO? In addition to the time that we have off, we also get PTO. I mean, it's not as much as you would get with the other job, but understand that we have our Christmas and Thanksgiving breaks off. We don't have to request for that time off. We automatically have it off. So I love it. And I love to help people. I've always wanted to be in the helping profession, and I don't want to work with adults. I've always wanted to work with kids. So I love it. I work with adults and kids, of course, but I love, helping people. So I love what I do. And then you have to think about it like, this job has a very big responsibility. You're looking at changing the trajectory of a child's life forever. A student who may have been identified as EBD, given this label as having an emotional behavior disorder, maybe you came into this classroom and provided behavior interventions that have completely changed his behavior of this child, and they've done a full 360 and they don't even know who this child is anymore. You changed this child's trajectory. This could be been a kid who had referral after referral after referral, been kicked out of school, sent to an alternative school, ended up in jail, or who knows what. So I mean, this job comes with a lot of responsibility. You have to take pride in what you do. So I don't want to say get into this job for the money, because this job pays well, but it doesn't pay as well as a doctor or a lawyer. So you obviously have to love what it is that you do. So I will say that. Next thing on this, what degrees are needed? So I do have a bachelor's in psychology. I have a master's of education. I have an educational specialist degree, specialized in psychology. So what I will say is you don't need a bachelor's in psychology. Maybe you have a bachelor's in education or child development, and you decide now at this time, okay, I want to go into school psychology. You don't have to have a bachelor's in school psychology in order to get into a school psychology program. But what I will say is you want to join the professional organizations like the National Association of School Psychology. You want to make sure you do your research. You want to make yourself look like you're a great candidate for that program, because just like I said, we are underrepresented as school psychologists. There are not a lot of accredited school psychology programs. I think there are only 2 or 3 in the state of Georgia. Now I'm to Georgia Southern. So yeah, I will say that you want to make sure that you are making yourself look more marketable, that you make yourself look like you would be a great fit for that program. So I had a state tuition, so I was working full time as a case manager with Pineland. Cut that out. What I will say about my experience in the program is that it was difficult. I did have to go through a lot of different things. So a part of my program, we had to learn how to do assessments. So the assessment portion can be a little bit difficult because you're learning all these different assessments. You have to make sure you're administering them correctly. You want to make sure you're administering them in the way that they were written, that you're reading the lines and the words in the booklet for administration carefully, because these assessments have been norm referenced or have been standardized to be given a certain way. So if you're not a person who pays attention to detail, if you're a person that is not patient, if you're a person that likes to rush through things, it's going to be hard for you, because I was that person. I talk fast. I didn't really have a lot of patience. And like I said, I didn't like to study. I didn't like to really do anything that required a lot of work, because I've always been naturally smart. So this program really pushed me and tested me. I had to become more patient. I had to double check, triple check, extra check my work. I had to slow down with my talking so that I'm making sure that I'm reading the directions for each assessment appropriately, that I'm not adding any additional words, I'm not missing directions or pieces. So that was hard for me. And I struggle a lot with the assessment piece, but I did overcome. Needless to say, I'm going into my third year in the program, and I have perfected my craft. I worked hard, I studied hard, I learned the assessments, and I put in my time. So I will say that the program is not easy, but if you work hard, you study, if you take the time that you need, you will succeed. I was working a full-time job my first year, like I said, so that did take a lot away from my focus, my energy. So my second year, I did get an assistantship on campus, which paid my tuition and also paid me a lump sum of money every month. In exchange, I taught a class on campus. It was an entry-level class. It was careers 101 or something like that. So helping students with career exploration, which taught me a lot in itself. So that was a great experience. I got in classroom experience teaching at the collegiate level. And so, yeah, and I got my tuition paid. So I was able to really focus my attention on the degree that I was earning. So I will say that it can be challenging working while you're in a graduate program, but it can be done. But you have to be just as focused on your schoolwork as you are with your job. So that can make it hard, because when you get off work, you're tired, you want to go to sleep, but in actuality, you have to study. So like I said, you need those 3 degrees, and then after you finish your program, you take a state certifications test, and then if you choose to, you can take the national certification test. So I am state certified in Georgia, and then I have my National Association of School Psychology certification. So I'm nationally certified as well as state certified, but that was a choice that I had, because I didn't know whether I was going to stay in the state of Georgia, or if I wanted to go back to Florida, which is where I'm from, or if I wanted to travel to different states, and take different contract assignments, which is something that you can do. So yeah, you guys, I have given you a lot of information about what we do as school psychologists, how you obtain the degree, but I am here and I want to answer more questions that you guys may have. So if you have any more questions, leave them in the comments below. You can even message me on Instagram with questions that you may have, and I'm going to make a follow-up video. You can follow me on Instagram at MARDAYSHA with the underscore sign. Send me any questions, comments you may have, any videos you may want to see in the future. And that is all for me. Bye.